If you're looking to advance in the medical billing and coding field, you've probably heard about the CPC or Certified Professional Coder exam. Today we're going to dive into how to get this certification online, why it is so crucial, and a special tool that can help you on your way. So make sure you stay to the end to find out more about that. And let's get started. The CPC or Certified Professional Coder designation is really important and pretty much critical if you want to get a job as a professional fee coder. There's different types of coders. We're not going to get into the specifics of that in this video. I've talked about it in some other videos, but essentially what this does is it's like passing the NCLEX for an RN or an LPN. It's the credential that shows that you have working knowledge in coding for diagnoses, surgeries, services, office visits, medical equipment, and all kinds of things that you would need to be successful as a medical coder. The CPC credential is given by the AAPC, which was formerly called the American Academy of Professional Coders, but technically they've not gone by that for a number of years. It's just AAPC. Another big player in this field is AHIMA, the American Health Information Management Association. They have a basic equivalent of the CPC exam, which is the CCSP. But while employers still take that, it's not as widely recognized for professional fee coding as the CPC is. There's other certifications out there, but my best advice to you is if you're considering a certain association's credential and you want to know if it's going to be helpful to get you a job, which is what most people want to consider it for. Like, it's great to have a bunch of letters behind your name, but it's not really going to do you any good if you can't get a job and get some good money for it, right? So my tip is to go into Indeed.com and type in that credential and see how many jobs come up. Because if you go onto Indeed.com and type in CPC, a ton of jobs, probably thousands of them, are going to come up. Other certifications that are out there, if you type in those credentials, you might get very little to no results. And again, I'm not saying that those are poor credentials or that they're not a fair test of proficiency, but they're just not ones that employers are going to accept. There are some that often get included in certain programs where they say, hey, if you take this program, we'll throw in as for you as a student free this certification. However, oftentimes those certifications are only accepted in like little pockets of areas here and there. So really you want to get a credential through AAPC or AHIMA. Those are like our Coke and Pepsi of the medical coding world. Now, technically, while anyone who pays for AAPC membership and pays for a CPC exam voucher can take the exam, you're likely not going to do very well without having some sort of formal training. So where do we start? Well, going online for your CPC exam training is probably one of your best bets. There's a lot of perks for online training. Flexibility is a big one, making sure that it fits within your schedule, especially if you're busy, you have a family to take care of. Plus, online courses often come with some great perks, like you can get online forums where you can communicate with others in your program, or even things like virtual tutoring. Now, if you want to go through traditional training, those are available. Check your local technical schools, check your community colleges. Medical coding is not something where you need an associate's degree. In fact, to sit for the CPC exam, you don't have to technically have any formal training. You just need to pass the exam. So because most coding jobs only require the certification, it's a big investment to spend a lot of money for something that you don't really need to have to get that job. Plus, a lot of community colleges have to fit everything into this certain box so they can get things like federal grants and money. So they have to have a certain amount of credit hours. So they might fluff up all kinds of programs with math things you don't need or art programs that you don't really need in order to work as a medical coder. And some associate degrees easily cost in excess of $30,000, and they'll tell you that, oh, well, we'll just use financial aid, and then you kind of forget about it. And honestly, you don't need to spend more than a few $1,000s to learn medical coding. If you're already in healthcare, I have some great videos that I will link below on how you can self-study that can cut down on your costs. But really in this industry, those degrees are only needed if you're looking into getting into management or into some higher tier positions, maybe in compliance. Everywhere else, just for a general medical billing and coding position, is looking for certifications through AAPC or AHIMA. I don't even have an associate's degree. I just have my certifications. However, if you're going for the certifications, it looks a lot better to employers if you have some sort of formal training, some sort of formal program that you went through instead of just self-study. Not all programs are considered equal. You have to consider a lot of different things. the cost, what resources you get. Are they going to provide tutoring services? Are they going to provide job placement? What are the instructors like? Make sure that the program is thorough and actually prepares you for the CPC exam. And keep in mind that there is no program that in and of itself, when you complete it, will make you a CPC. The only way to become a CPC is to sit for the certification exam, which is proctored, and pass it at 70%. It's not like, oh, if you take this program, you finish it and you're a CPC. You have to sit and take a proctored examination and pass it at 70% overall. Again, it's kind of like nursing. You can go for an associate's degree in nursing, but until you sit and pass the NCLEX, you're not a registered nurse, and places aren't going to want to hire you unless you pass that exam and are a registered nurse. The difference, though, is that nursing is regulated and medical billing and coding has no governmental oversight or regulation. I'll see people refer to their CPC exam as their board exam or their state exam, but that's not it. It's not a state exam. It's not in any way federally regulated. It's not state regulated, anything like that. It really is just a certificate. Now, speaking of medical billing and coding programs, let me tell you about my medical coding masterclass. If you want to find out, Victoria, hey, how do I, as someone with no healthcare experience, go from where I am now to being a biller and coder, and I want to do it like on my own time, at my own pace, like and be job ready in as little as 6 months, you can do that. I'm going to give you the whole blueprint if you sign up for my free masterclass at medicalcodingmasterclass.com. The free career masterclass will tell you everything you want to know about a career in medical billing and coding, and will tell you about the best training program out there, which is Preppy. Preppy is affordable, it is on demand, it works with your schedule, you don't have to go into student loan debt, and they have some amazing resources that you will not find anywhere else, things like an internship program. Definitely find out more, medicalcodingmasterclass.com. Now, once you're enrolled in a class, make sure that you are making the most of it. Set a consistent schedule for yourself, stick to it, give yourself some grace and flexibility when you need to, but also make sure that you reach out and find other resources to help you, like this channel, when you need to. In fact, I would highly recommend that you subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so that you can get alerts when I post all of these helpful new videos. Practice makes perfect, especially with medical coding. Medical coding is a lot about repetition, familiarizing yourself with terms, familiarizing yourself with concepts. So for example, if you're working with the step-by-step medical coding books or even the CPC exam curriculum books, and your instructor only assigns maybe, chapter 12, only do the evens, do all of them. If you have extra time, go back and review them. Like, do as much practice as you can, even if it's not assigned, because practice is really going to be it in medical coding. And look for additional resources. I have some tools linked in the video description as far as like the medical terminology and anatomy book for coding, which is a great resource. The step-by-step books, those are a great resource, and those can supplement your materials if you don't use them in your training program. Even things like the study guides by the AAPC, I recommend the ones that are directly from the AAPC, because there's a lot of ones out there that are on like Amazon and eBay and stuff that are not cutting it. And the CPC exam is timed, so I would recommend if you have like a final exam or a final practice exam or a practice exam through the AAPC, chunk it out. The CPC exam is multiple choice and it is 100 questions for 2024. That might change in 2025, we'll see. But time yourself, chunk out 25 questions and try and finish them in an hour. And that will determine if you have the right pace or if you need to make some adjustments in your pacing on how to get through the exam a little bit faster. Now let's address some of the common questions. How long do I need to prepare for the exam? How long is the exam? Can I retake it if I don't pass it? For 2024, the exam format is 100 multiple choice questions and 4 hours. The reason I say for 2024 is that because there have been some indications that they are testing the possibility of adding in some fill-in-the-blank questions. For some of the other certification exams that the AAPC has, there are a few fill-in-the-blank questions. So we might see that maybe in 2025 or 2026, they might add in some fill-in-the-blank questions. It's not going to be like a surprise, like you think you're going for multiple choice and that's what they told you and they're like, haha, we threw in fill in the blanks. It will be announced way ahead of them just being popped into the exam. So none of the study materials for 2024 for the CPC have any fill in the blank practice exam type questions. So we're pretty solid that for 2024, we're still going to be on the multiple choice situation. Now, the breakdown of the exam is that most of it is CPT coding, common procedural terminology coding. There's a couple questions on diagnoses, there's a little med term, there's a little bit of compliance, but a lot of it is going to be procedural coding stuff. And it's broken down by the different chapters. So there's going to be a few questions on cardiovascular, a few questions on musculoskeletal, a few questions on the nervous system. And if you don't pass the exam with that 70% on your first attempt, you can retake it. What they've been doing lately is they will sell you 2 exam attempts no matter what. You can't just buy 1 attempt, you have to buy a 2 exam attempt package bundle. So you do have a retake available, and there is no period of waiting in order to take the exam again. So if you get that notification that you did not pass, you can reschedule as soon as they have an availability. If you don't pass on that second attempt, then you do need to purchase another exam attempt bundle. You don't get unlimited attempts at taking the exam. So while you can take the exam as many times as you want, you do have to pay for each retake. And if you pass, you can't just retake it to try and get a better score. In fact, most employers don't really ask for your score on the CPC exam. They just want to see that you have the certification. However, I recommend that if you did get the Magna status, meaning you passed it at over a 90%, I would put that on your resume. It's also a very strict proctored examination. It's not like walking into your high school math test. You can't have anything on your desk other than your books. If you're taking it with a virtual proctor, you can only have a clear water bottle with no label on it to drink and nothing else. We really have to consider the integrity of the exam, because the exam isn't worth anything because you can cheat your way through it. The entire certification, our jobs are not worth anything. So you can either go to an exam center, which will be very strict. They're going to check your books, they're going to check your ID, they're going to make sure that you don't have any possibility of compromising the exam. Or you can do it via a live remote proctor where they're basically watching you on Zoom, and they make you move your camera around to sweep and make sure that you're not recording, that you don't have anything under your desk, that there's not someone sitting in the same room as you. It's very, very strict. Everything else that you'll need to utilize for the exam will be embedded in the exam platform. For example, they will have a calculator on the exam platform on the computer that you can pop open. They will have a notes tab so that you can kind of open up some notes and type some notes if you need to do a process of elimination, or write some notes about what you're looking up. If you want more specifics about what you can and cannot bring to the exam, I also have a video on that, and I will link that up here and below as well. So that kind of wraps up the guide on how to get your CPC certification exam online. If you're interested in this career, definitely check out medicalcodingmasterclass.com. That will give you all of the resources from start to finish that you need to know. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you will get alerts when there are all of these new episodes. I'm doing a ton of coding review material coming up, so you definitely do not want to miss that. I will see you guys in the next video, and until then, just keep on coding on.